As of today, the overall achievement rate along the route, including Niger and Benin, is more than 51%. So, according to the current program, we expect to finish the mechanical phase no later than August 2023.
First drops of Nigerian oil gushed out at Semekrake in Benin 2 weeks ago. Beninese President Patrice Talon now says Niger will not use its port to export the oil.
What will happen if Western sanctions on African nations intensify, pushing them to become mere puppets? While some might yield to the pressure out of fear of sanctions, Niger has chosen a different path. Benin threatened to block Niger's oil trade through the pipeline that runs from Benin to China, demanding an end to the coup. Instead of complying, Niger took a bold step and suspended the pipeline itself, implementing a new strategy. Will this new plan compensate for the economic loss? Let's find out. In the heart of West Africa, a diplomatic storm has intensified between Niger and Benin, resulting in Niger suspending its oil pipeline exports to China, a key ally and significant investor in the landlocked nation. But many think this highlights a problem between Niger and China relations. This isn't the truth. Niger will continue its oil trade with China. So, what's the decision to suspend oil pipeline exports about? The conflict's roots trace back to a vital Chinese-built pipeline, essential for Niger's economy, as it facilitates the transport of oil from Niger's fields through Benin to the port of Semé. This 2,000-kilometer lifeline enables Niger, heavily reliant on oil exports, to access international markets. However, the stability of this arrangement was shattered in July 2023 when a coup d'etat ousted Niger's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. The coup drew swift condemnation from ECOWAS, of which Benin is a member. ECOWAS imposed stringent sanctions on Niger, and Benin, aligning with the bloc, threatened military intervention. Niger's new military rulers responded decisively by closing borders with Benin, exacerbating economic strains on both nations. The pipeline, on the other hand, is a symbol of China's Belt and Road Initiative, which symbolizes the deepening ties between Africa and Asia. It was designed to boost Niger's oil exports, expected to generate significant revenue for one of the world's poorest countries. Before the coup, the pipeline was a beacon of hope, promising to elevate Niger's economic standing and provide a much-needed infrastructure boost. Its completion marked a significant milestone in Niger's development agenda, envisioned as a gateway to prosperity. How has it economically benefited Niger? The pipeline project, initiated under a $400 million deal with China, was a transformative venture for Niger, promising substantial economic benefits and the potential to redefine the country's economic landscape. Designed to boost Niger's oil production by almost fivefold, the pipeline was projected to export up to 90,000 barrels of oil daily. This dramatic increase in oil production and export capacity was expected to have far-reaching positive impacts on Niger's economy, which had long struggled with poverty and underdevelopment. Before the pipeline's construction, Niger's oil industry was relatively modest, with limited infrastructure to support large-scale production and exportation. The completion of the pipeline marked a significant leap forward, enabling the country to tap into its vast oil reserves more effectively. The increased oil output meant that Niger could substantially raise its oil revenues, providing a much-needed boost to the national economy. The World Bank had projected that Niger's economy would rebound and grow the fastest in Africa, with an anticipated growth rate of 6.9% in 2023. This optimistic forecast was largely driven by the anticipated surge in oil exports facilitated by the new pipeline. The influx of oil revenue was expected to fuel various sectors of the economy, creating a ripple effect that would enhance overall economic performance. One of the most immediate benefits of the pipeline project was the creation of jobs. The construction phase alone provided employment opportunities for thousands of Nigerians, injecting income into local communities and stimulating economic activity. Once operational, the pipeline and the associated increase in oil production required a skilled workforce for maintenance, operation, and security, leading to the creation of more long-term jobs. This employment boost was particularly significant in a country where job opportunities are often scarce, contributing to a reduction in unemployment rates and an improvement in living standards for many families. the revenue generated from increased oil exports provided the Nigerian government with additional funds to invest in critical infrastructure and public services. With more financial resources at its disposal, the government could prioritize the development of roads, schools, hospitals, and other essential infrastructure projects. Improved infrastructure not only enhanced the quality of life for Nigerians, but also created an environment more conducive to business and investment, further driving economic growth. Moreover, the influx of oil revenue allowed the government to allocate more funds to social programs aimed at reducing poverty and improving healthcare and education. By investing in human capital, Niger could lay the groundwork for sustained economic development and better equip its population to participate in and benefit from economic growth. Enhanced access to education and healthcare would lead to a healthier, more educated workforce, capable of driving innovation and productivity across various sectors. The pipeline also had significant implications for Niger's balance of trade. By increasing oil exports, Niger could reduce its trade deficit and generate a more favorable balance of payments. This improved trade position would strengthen the national currency, stabilize the economy, and attract foreign investment. A stronger economy, underpinned by robust export performance, would be better positioned to weather external shocks and maintain steady growth. In addition to these direct economic benefits, the pipeline project also held the potential to foster regional integration and cooperation. The pipeline's route through Benin to the port of Semei created opportunities for cross-border trade and collaboration, benefiting not only Niger but also its neighbors. Enhanced regional connectivity and economic interdependence could contribute to greater stability and prosperity in West Africa, promoting a more integrated and resilient regional economy. Furthermore, the successful completion and operation of the pipeline project served as an example of the effectiveness of international partnerships. China's investment and technical expertise played a crucial role in realizing the project, demonstrating the potential for mutually beneficial cooperation between African countries and international partners. This success story could pave the way for more such collaborations, attracting further foreign investment into Niger and other African nations. However, the political upheaval turned the pipeline into a flashpoint. The international community, particularly Western powers and regional organizations like ECOWAS, viewed the coup as a destabilizing force in an already volatile region. The sanctions imposed by ECOWAS aimed to pressure the military junta to restore constitutional order, but also risked deepening the economic crisis. Benin, directly impacted by the border closure and potential loss of revenue from transit fees, faced a dilemma. Aligning with ECOWAS and supporting sanctions could lead to economic hardships, while opposing the bloc's stance might isolate Benin diplomatically. The government in Cotonou, Benin's capital, opted to align with ECOWAS, emphasizing the need for regional stability and adherence to democratic principles. This stance, however, brought about domestic criticism as businesses and ordinary citizens felt the economic pinch of reduced trade with Niger. The closure of the border by Niger's new rulers had immediate repercussions. Trade between the two countries plummeted, leading to shortages of essential goods in Niger and loss of business for Benin's traders. The pipeline, which required cross-border cooperation for maintenance and security, was also at risk. Any disruption in its operation could have far-reaching consequences, not just for Niger, but also for the broader region's energy supply chain. And how would this impact Benin? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. One of the most immediate impacts was felt by traders who relied on cross-border commerce. The closure of borders by Niger's new military rulers, in response to sanctions imposed by ECOWAS, disrupted trade routes that had been crucial for local economies. These traders, who had previously benefited from the steady flow of goods between Niger and Benin, saw their livelihoods threatened. The decrease in trade volume meant reduced income for many families, exacerbating economic challenges in communities dependent on this commerce. The port of Semei in Benin, which was poised to become a bustling hub due to the pipeline, also experienced a downturn in activity. Before the political upheaval, the port was expected to handle a significant increase in oil exports, leading to greater revenue from transit fees and associated economic activities. However, the border closures and political uncertainty disrupted these expectations. The anticipated boom in port activity was delayed, impacting businesses that had geared up to support the increased throughput. This downturn not only affected the port's operations, but also had a ripple effect on the local economy, reducing job opportunities and slowing economic growth. Benin's government, aligning with ECOWAS in imposing sanctions on Niger and threatening military intervention, faced a delicate balancing act. While the alignment was a principled stance aimed at promoting regional stability and democratic governance, it sparked debates about the economic cost of such solidarity. Critics argued that prioritizing political alignment over economic interests could have detrimental effects on Benin's economy. They advocated for a more pragmatic approach that would mitigate economic losses while still supporting regional stability. Public opinion in Benin was divided. Some supported the government's stance, emphasizing the importance of adhering to regional agreements and maintaining stability. Others, however, questioned whether the economic sacrifices were justified, especially given the immediate and tangible impacts on local livelihoods and the economy. This division highlighted the broader dilemma faced by many countries in the region, balancing political and economic imperatives in a complex and often unstable geopolitical landscape. Now the question is, how did the problems rise to a point that Niger finally decided to suspend the oil trade through the pipeline? In May, Benin took a significant and bold step by blocking Niger's oil exports through the port of Semé. This blockade had a profound impact on Niger's economy, which relies heavily on its oil exports for revenue. The blockade was seen as an aggressive action designed to force Niger into reopening its borders and resuming oil exports on terms more favorable to Benin. The situation grew more contentious when legal issues came into play. A Beninese court sentenced 3 out of 5 Nigerians to 18 months of suspended jail time. These individuals were accused of entering the port of Semé under false identities. This legal action was met with strong resistance from Niger, which firmly rejected the accusations. Niger asserted that the group was legally present at the port, supervising crude loading operations by their bilateral agreement with Benin. This legal tussle added another layer of complexity to the already strained relations between the two countries. From Niger's perspective, the actions of the Beninese authorities were seen as an unjust and unfounded attempt to undermine their legitimate economic activities. This perception of injustice and the ensuing diplomatic standoff further inflamed the situation. As the economic pressure mounted and diplomatic efforts to resolve the issue stalled, Niger was left with limited options. The blockade of its oil exports was not only a direct threat to its economic stability, but also a challenge to its sovereignty. In response to these provocations, Niger decided to take a decisive stand by suspending the oil trade through the pipeline. This suspension was both a strategic and symbolic move, signaling Niger's refusal to be coerced into compliance under duress. The decision to suspend the oil trade was not made lightly. It reflected the broader geopolitical realities and the intricate power dynamics at play in the region. For Niger, this move was about asserting its sovereignty and standing up against what it perceived as external economic aggression. The suspension of the oil trade through the pipeline was a clear message to Benin and the international community that Niger would not allow its economic lifeline to be manipulated for political gain. But how would this impact China? The suspension of oil pipeline exports from Niger to China carries significant implications for the Asian giant. As the second-largest investor in Niger after France, China has poured billions of dollars into the country over the past 2 decades, focusing primarily on developing oil infrastructure. These investments have been part of China's broader strategy to secure energy resources and expand its influence in West Africa. In the aftermath of the coup in Niger, China has been proactive in establishing ties with Niger's new military leaders. This effort is aimed at safeguarding its investments and ensuring the continuity of its strategic projects in the region. However, the suspension of oil pipeline exports presents a serious challenge to China's plans. Niger's decision to halt oil exports through the pipeline amid its diplomatic conflict with Benin significantly disrupts China's economic interests. The suspension affects not only the direct financial investments, but also the broader strategic ambitions China has in the region. Among the notable investments is a $400 million agreement linked to the pipeline, which is now at risk due to the regional instability that has led to the disruption of operations. For China, the implications are multifaceted. Economically, the halt in oil exports means a potential loss of revenue and returns on investment. The Chinese firms involved in the oil sector in Niger face operational challenges and uncertainties. This instability can lead to delays in projects, increased costs, and a re-evaluation of the risk associated with investing in volatile regions. These economic repercussions can also affect the broader Chinese strategy of securing energy supplies, which is crucial for supporting its industrial growth and energy needs. Strategically, the suspension of pipeline exports complicates China's efforts to strengthen its foothold in West Africa. China's presence in the region is not just about economic gains, but also about geopolitical influence. By investing heavily in infrastructure and resource extraction, China aims to build long-term partnerships and extend its soft power. The disruption caused by the suspension could weaken China's position and open the door for rival powers to assert their influence. Despite the suspension of oil exports through the pipeline, Niger is likely to continue its trade relationship with China in other areas. Both nations have mutual interests that extend beyond oil. Niger's dependence on Chinese investment for infrastructure development and economic growth means that completely severing ties is not in its best interest. Similarly, China, with its long-term strategic vision, will likely seek to maintain and possibly diversify its engagement with Niger to mitigate the impact of the current suspension. In response to the suspension, China might explore alternative avenues for cooperation with Niger. This could include increasing investments in other sectors such as mining, agriculture, and infrastructure. China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) provides a framework for such diversified investments, enabling China to maintain its influence while adapting to the changing political and economic landscape in Niger. Moreover, China might leverage its diplomatic channels to mediate and resolve the dispute between Niger and Benin. As a major stakeholder in the region, China can influence negotiations and potentially facilitate a resolution that could restore stability and allow for the resumption of oil exports. The critical question now is, if suspending pipeline trade only had drawbacks, why did Niger take such a decisive step? While the suspension poses challenges, Niger thoroughly considered its benefits as well. The decision reflects a strategic move toward greater economic independence and regional solidarity. One of the primary benefits Niger saw in suspending the pipeline trade was the opportunity to redefine its trading relationships. By cutting off the Benin pipeline, Niger is signaling its desire to shift away from dependence on a single route and a single partner that has proven unreliable and contentious. The diplomatic and economic fallout with Benin highlighted the vulnerabilities associated with relying heavily on one pipeline for oil exports. By exploring alternative trading routes and partnerships, Niger aims to reduce these vulnerabilities and enhance its sovereignty. Niger's strategy involves strengthening trade ties with its nearest African neighbors, particularly Burkina Faso and Mali. This regional approach is rooted in shared economic and political interests. Burkina Faso and Mali are not only geographically proximate, but also face similar challenges and opportunities in terms of development and stability. By fostering stronger economic links with these countries, Niger aims to build a more resilient and cooperative regional economy. Trade with Burkina Faso and Mali offers several advantages. These nations are eager for greater regional integration and economic collaboration, which can lead to more favorable trade agreements and mutual support in times of crisis. The development of new trade routes and infrastructure linking Niger with these neighbors can also spur regional development, creating new economic opportunities and jobs. This regional focus is in line with broader African Union goals of enhancing intra-African trade and reducing dependence on external partners. Furthermore, Niger's decision to trade with its African neighbors and eventually China without using the Benin pipeline positions it as a more independent actor on the global stage. This independence is crucial for Niger's long-term economic strategy. By diversifying its trade routes and partners, Niger can avoid being held hostage by any single country's political or economic whims. This diversification reduces the risk of future blockades or diplomatic disputes disrupting its economy. In terms of its relationship with China, Niger's strategy remains flexible. While the pipeline suspension affects current oil exports, Niger plans to maintain and even strengthen its trade with China through alternative means. China, with its significant investments in Niger, has a vested interest in keeping this relationship. Both countries can explore other sectors for cooperation, such as mining, agriculture, and infrastructure development, which align with China's Belt and Road Initiative. By not using the Benin pipeline, Niger also sends a message of resilience and self-reliance. This move can attract other international investors who value stability and predictability in their investment destinations. Demonstrating an ability to adapt and overcome challenges can enhance Niger's attractiveness as a trade and investment partner. Do you think, instead of bowing down to the ECOWAS decision, Niger took the right step? Will this decision be full of benefits? Let us know in the comments section. Should giving up on sovereignty ever be a nation's choice? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.